Unexpected is a foster care memoir from Rosie Lewis. This was originally released in 2015 and it is a short memoir. It's one that's about a half an hour read, maybe 40 minutes, and it's a little different, and I'll give it credit. It's definitely a different kind of story to most of the foster care memoirs I've read. It started off really slowly. It started off from the perspective of the mother, which I think is a terrible idea because it really shatters the illusion that we have only the knowledge of the foster carer. As soon as you start bringing in perspectives of other people when you're not privy to that information, there's no way at all they knew what it was like. Maybe the mother told Rosie Lewis, who knows? But I feel like once you give a different narrative perspective, it turns into a novel rather than a memoir. So I don't agree with that. But thankfully, that was over quite quickly. And we find out that this mother, Ellen, unexpectedly gave birth. She apparently didn't even know she was pregnant, which does happen. And she absconds. And Rosie Lewis has to care for this adorable little baby called Hope. And once they are able to find the mother, she begins to have contact with baby Hope at Rosie's house, but she doesn't even want to pick up the baby. She's not even standoffish. She's almost oblivious to the fact that the baby is in the room, apart from what we're told are, a couple of glances at the child, which I think is, even if it wasn't your child, I don't think you'd be able to help, glancing at a newborn baby every now and then. And it's unclear whether she'll ever really come to terms with the fact that she's just given birth and has this little baby, and whether or not she'll want to mother the child. There are a couple of things here. The first is obviously that the mother is going through shock because she's just given birth after not even knowing she was pregnant. That's going to do some damage to anybody's mental health, at least temporarily. But there's also something from her past that's causing her to behave this way, to have these feelings, to put up this wall in front of her. And I won't go into too much detail about it, but it's very fascinating. And it really goes to show that the way your parents treat you can significantly affect not just your belief in your own abilities, but the way you potentially treat other people. But with the right intervention, maybe things can be turned around. Whether or not that's the case for Ellen and Hope, I won't say, but there is hope. Dare I say it? So whether or not things work out for the best, I won't say, but certainly Rosie and well, I say everybody else are willing to try. That's not true. Not everybody is willing to give this the time it needs. And whether or not that person has a say in the development of Hope's care plan, well, I'll say no more, but it's certainly a very unpredictable read. It's definitely eye-opening. It is the kind of story you'd read about in a woman's magazine. Woman gives birth and didn't know she was pregnant, and at times it feels like a dramatic story, especially with it written not from Rosie's perspective to begin with, which I don't agree with for foster care memoirs because I do feel like it makes it feel more like fiction, and I want to buy into these memoirs as much as possible. I know a lot of it is fabricated to protect the identities of the children involved or the parents, but I still like to believe that they're based on truth. Well, actually, some of them are quite harrowing that I rather they weren't based on truth, but the point is, at no point do I want to think that they're fiction. I want to think that there's enough truth in there that I'm reading the honest words of somebody who's been through this experience. And most of the time, I completely feel that and I completely buy into it. But when you start from the perspective of another character, it kind of ruins things. But thankfully, that's just the beginning. It's over as quickly as it began, and then we get in with the real story. And I rather enjoyed it for the right reasons. Definitely eye opening, not badly written at all. And if you're looking for a quick read, it's definitely one I'd recommend.